Alright, this video is about Quercus acutissima, or the sawtooth oak. There aren't really any other common names for this guy, it's just the sawtooth oak. So like all oaks, he's in Fagaceae, which is the beech family. Acutissima means steeply cut. Alright, so this guy is not a native oak, so he does not fall into our subgenera of red oak or white oak. He is from Asia. So he has his own subgenera that is not really important for us, but just so you know, if you're looking for specific red or white oak characters on this guy, you're not going to find them. He's planted a lot as a landscaping tree. This is another one. That's another one. We're here on the brickyard. Planted a lot as a landscaping tree because they've got a nice open form. They mature really fast, so they produce acorns really quickly, and also they grow really fast. They're also really popularly planted from like the 70s to the 90s for a wildlife food. So if you wanted white-tailed deer on your property, you'd plant sawtooth oaks because they fruit so fast due to the quick maturation. And they were like, oh yeah, it's a nice big acorn. Deer will love it. Turns out it's not a very tasty acorn. It's still got a lot of tannins like a red oak. So deer definitely prefer white oak acorns, and it's always better, of course, to plant native plants for native wildlife. But there are still a lot of them around from being planted in that time. So let's take a look at them. First of all, this bark, it's got very nice deep ridges, good furrows. I'm talking about deep. You can see my finger goes in quite a bit. And when you look in these ridges, they're very blocky, but also they have this distinct orange color at the base where they've split all the way down. So the bark is really, really orange. The lower bark is orange and it shows through. As for the leaves on this guy, I've got some leaves here. So let me rip a single leaf off of this branch. So it's a pretty big leaf for an oak leaf, probably 5 or 6 inches. It's elliptical, but it's rather long. So it's almost linear, to be honest, but it's got a rounded base, and it's a little bit chunkier in the middle, and an acute tip. It's a really prominent venation. If we look at the edge, what's going to give it away as a sawtooth oak is it's got these really long bristle tips that are spaced evenly. Those bristle tips are a continuation of the vein. See how they come out of the veins? But those are like 2 millimeters long, as opposed to our red oaks, which have a really, sometimes I can barely see the bristle tips on them, but these guys are like really evident even from quite a distance. The acorn on this guy is also really, really unique. So here is, I will show you on the branch. This one has a baby acorn on it, a not yet mature acorn. So look at that. Look at the little hat. Their cap. So whereas white oaks have warts and the scales on red oaks, this guy, the scale is very similar to swamp white oak, where the scales turn into like long, shaggy scales that almost look like hair, but they're kind of thick. That's a really distinctive cap. And when they're mature, it will be even longer. So that cap is going to cover at least 50% of the acorn. Those scales, not only are they moving away from the acorn, they also sometimes curve back upwards. So they're kind of curly. Anything else is different from swamp white oak, which also has scales like this, because the scales on sawtooth are just a lot longer. That cap covers a lot more, and they're a lot curlier. Whereas swamp white oak, it looks kind of just like someone with unkempt hair. This guy is like long hair in a hurricane. It's a very, very distinctive acorn. So really what you're looking for on these guys is that acorn cap, that orange in the bark, and those really distinct bristle tips on the long leaves.